Good morning, Idaho. Hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on when you're listening to this. Welcome to the Local Yokel Idaho podcast, where we talk about what is going on in the wonderful state of Idaho. Welcome to the morning banter. This is kind of where I just talk with you guys for a little bit before we get into the bulk of the podcast. Hope you're having a wonderful week. I know this last week was a bit sunny. It was nice. I mean, it was sunny, but it was windy. I remember I went out for like a walk Wednesday, and my goodness, I almost froze to death. It was so windy. It looked so great outside. I'm like, it's spring. There's life. I can go out. And then I went out, and I'm like, I am freezing now. The wind wants to kill me. It was, but at least it was sunny. I will take the sunny any day of the week. It's nice to have it. I mean, on the flip side, as I've said before, I like the snow, but if you're not going to give me snow, then it's really nice to have some sun out, and it's pretty to have that and everything. On the other hand, I hope you guys have a wonderful Valentine's Day. As this comes out, it's only like a couple days away from Valentine's Day. So hopefully have a special someone to go hang out and do that with. And if you don't, then be not feared. I am in the same camp as you right now. I will have a wonderful evening with a cup of tea and a book to relax, or maybe some video games with some fellow friends or single people. That I think it's still a day you can enjoy, and don't get it down. The Lord has a plan for your life, and as long as you keep putting one foot in front of the other and trusting Him, it will work itself out, or in either case, it will end up going the way that the Lord wants it to go. But as for the podcast, you might notice it's like a little short this week, and I didn't per se do that intentionally, shall we say. That comes down to the fact that it was just a slow news week, but also the fact that I was working on trying to add politics into the podcast this week, and I got to recording it and then realized, I don't have the time to record this. I have goofed this up. I need to record this throughout the week, because the amount of time it's taking me to record these segments and blocks, this is too much. I need to figure out how to cut this down, smooth this down, and make this a lot more simple. So that might be another reason the podcast might look a little small. You'll be like, I'm like, one, slow news week. Also, there was supposed to be other stuff there, but I cut it because it wasn't good enough for prime time. Which on that note, I'm getting further and closer on it. I do want to have at some point where I'll be talking about what happened each week at the House and Senate. I'm getting there, but just trying to figure out how to fit it into the time frames I've got to do the podcast work has been really, really, really tricky. I may have to cut some other stuff. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to try this next coming week with making the podcast and stuff about having myself, I'll research it throughout the week and then record it as blocks and what happened, because usually those don't change a lot in different stuff, and just roll with it that way. But thankfully we should be able to figure something out. I'm not sure at this point what that will end up being, but when it does come, I look forward for you guys' input and advice about what you guys think about it or how you want to change it. Also, right now, one of the biggest things you can do to help me is just let me know. If there's a part of the podcast where you're like, this plays zero function in my life, and if you got rid of it, I would lose no sleep. I'd rather have the politics and you to get rid of that. If there's something like that, then please let me know, and I'll get right on that and take it out, and then we can just move on with stuff. But yeah, biggest thing, just kind of dinging around with that. Hopefully you enjoyed the last week's podcast, and here we go into the main one. Starting off with holidays and interesting events of the week, we have Monday the 13th of February, which is National Cheddar Day. As for in history, in 1601, the first East India Company voyage departed from London. In 1689, the Parliament of England adopted the Bill of Rights, which placed limits on the Crown's power. In 1866, Jesse James held up his first bank, stealing $15,000. In 1945, the Allies bombed Dresden, Germany, creating a firestorm that killed 22,000. And lastly, in 1960, France became the fourth nuclear nation. As for birthdays, Monday was Bess Truman's and William Shockley's birthday. Next up is Tuesday. Tuesday, the 14th of February, is Valentine's Day. As for in history, in 1876, Alexander Graham Bell and Elisha Gray both applied for patents for the telephone. The Supreme Court ruled in Bell's favor. In 1971, Richard Nixon installed a security tape system in the White House. And lastly, in 1978, the first microchip was patented by Texas Instruments. As for birthdays, Tuesday was Jack Benny's birthday. And in deaths, in 1779, James Cook died. And in 1808, John Dickinson died. Wednesday, the 15th of February, is National Single Awareness Day and National Gumdrop Day. As for in history, in 1803, the teddy bear was introduced into America. In 1967, REM sleep was recorded for the first time. In 2001, the first draft of the human genome was published. In 2003, between 6 and 11 million people around the world protested the war against Iraq. And lastly, in 2005, YouTube was launched in the United States. As for birthdays, Wednesday was Galileo and Ernest Shackleton's birthday and is Megan Thee Stallion's 27th birthday. As for deaths, in 1965, Nat King Cole died. Thursday, the 16th of February, is National Almond Day. As for in history, in 1861, Abraham Lincoln stopped his train in Westfield to thank Grace Bedell for telling him to grow a beard to get more votes. In 1959, Fidel Castro became the 16th Prime Minister of Cuba. Nothing major in birthdays or deaths. Friday, the 17th of February, is National Caregiver Day and National Cabbage Day. As for in history, in 1865, Columbia in South Carolina burned down during the Civil War. As for birthdays, Friday is Michael Jordan's 59th, Jim Brown's 86th, and Ed Sheeran's 31st birthday. As for deaths, in 1909, Jerome died. In 1924, Henry Bacon died. And in 2021, Rush Limbaugh died. Moving on to Saturday, the 18th of February, which is National Battery and Wine Day. As for history, in 1685, St. Louis was established. In 1885, Mark Twain published The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Lastly, in 1930, U.S. astronomer Clyde Tombaugh discovered Pluto. As for birthdays, Saturday was Alessandro Volta's birthday. In deaths, in 1546, Martin Luther died. In 1967, Robert Oppenheimer died. And lastly, in 1973, Frank Costello died. Lastly, we come to Sunday. Sunday, the 19th of February, is National Chocolate Mint Day. As for in history, in 1878, Thomas Edison was granted a patent for his phonograph. In 1942, 150 Japanese warplanes attacked the city of Darwin in Australia. And lastly, in 1945, the U.S. Fifth Fleet launched its invasion of Iwo Jima. As for birthdays, Sunday is Millie Brown's 18th birthday. And in deaths, in 2016, Harper Lee died. Next up, the upcoming events. I'm going to read the timestamps for each town. That way you can jump to whichever town you're interested in, thus saving you time. Starting with Boise at 11 minutes 23 seconds, Meridian at 12 minutes 46 seconds, Nampa at 13 minutes 9 seconds, Caldwell at 14 minutes 29 seconds, Eagle at 15 minutes 1 second, Kuna at 16 minutes 13 seconds, Emmett at 16 minutes 29 seconds, Twin Falls at 17 minutes 3 seconds, Pocatello at 17 minutes 56 seconds, Idaho Falls at 22 minutes 6 seconds, Rexburg at 23 minutes 39 seconds, McCall at 24 minutes 26 seconds, Cascade at 25 minutes 17 seconds, Lewiston at 26 minutes 51 seconds, Moscow at 28 minutes 24 seconds, Coeur d'Alene at 29 minutes 17 seconds, Post Falls at 29 minutes 55 seconds, Sandpoint at 30 minutes 22 seconds, and the end of events at 31 minutes. Starting off events with Boise. In city events, Monday, there is a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting at 5:45 p.m. at Boise City Hall. Then moving to Tuesday, there is a City Council work session and meeting at City Hall. The work session is at 3:30 p.m. and the meeting is at 6 p.m. Then Wednesday, there is a Public Works Commission meeting at 4 p.m. at City Hall. Also Wednesday, there is a meetup with the mayor at 6 p.m. at Erman Heyman House. Then lastly, Thursday, there is a Parks and Recreation Commission meeting at 4 p.m. at City Hall. In performances, Tuesday, the Paragon Fund is doing an event for Valentine's Day, calling it Nothing Says Valentine's Day Like Raptors, from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at 3401 South Bazille Street, Boise. Also Tuesday, there is Romancing the Pen from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Old Idaho Penitentiary. That will be a guided tour of the penitentiary with exhibits on love stories and love letters from inmates at the penitentiary. In fun events, every Sunday, the Boise Depot has an open house and tour. It is open from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., and the tours are from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. In other events, Wednesday, there is a virtual fruit tree pruning class from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The class is free, but you'll need to register. For more information about anything talked about, go to the Boise City website or check the link in the description below. Meridian. In city events, Tuesday, there is a city council work session and meeting at the Meridian City Hall. The work session is at 4:30 p.m. and the meeting is at 6 p.m. In fun events, Monday, there is a Brick Club meeting from 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at the Meridian Library. For more information about the things talked about, go to the Meridian City website or check the link in the description below. Nampa. In city events, Monday, there is an airport commission meeting from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. at 112 North Pilatus Lane, Nampa. Then Tuesday, there is a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting at 6 p.m. at the council chambers. Moving to Thursday, there is a special city council workshop from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. at the council chambers. Then next Tuesday, February 21st, there is a city council meeting from 5:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the council chambers. Also next Tuesday, February 21st, there is a design review committee meeting from 12:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. In fun things, Wednesday, there is a class going over the Idaho State Archives and the Old Penitentiary. The class includes transportation, admission, tours, and lunches. The class is from 10:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at the starts at the Harvard Rec Center and is $20. Then Friday, there is an esports Smash Bros. Ultimate Tournament from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Harvard Rec Center. Check below for admission. Then Saturday, there is a Princess Dress Up and Dance Camp from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Harvard Rec Center. It is for ages 3 to 6 and is $10 for members and $13.50 for non-members. For more information about the things talked about, go to the Nampa City website or check the link in the description below. Caldwell, just city events here. In those, Monday, there is an Urban Renewal Agency meeting from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Caldwell Police Station. Then Wednesday, there is a Hearer Examiner special meeting from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Caldwell Police Station. Also Wednesday, there is a Mayor's Youth Advisory Council meeting from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the police station. And then next Tuesday, February 21st, there is a City Council meeting from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Caldwell Police Station. For more information about the topics talked about above, go to the Caldwell City website. Eagle, just city events here. Tuesday, there is a city council meeting at 5:30 p.m. at the council chambers. They will be reviewing requests from Colin Marks and Madera Development, Inc. for rezoning and annexation. They will be also looking at a waiver and approval for Mark and Carissa Summers, plot approval for Stadium View Center subdivision, and a vacation/irrigation request. Then Wednesday, there is coffee with the mayor from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the council chambers. Also Wednesday, there is an Eagle Library Board meeting from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the council chambers. Then moving to Thursday, there is a Parks, Pathways, and Recreation Commission meeting at 5:30 p.m. at the council chambers. Then next Tuesday, February 21st, there is an Eagle Urban Renewal Agency meeting from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the council chambers. Also next Tuesday, February 21st, there is a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting from 6 p.m. to 11:50 p.m. at the council chambers. They will be going over rezoning and annexation for Raining Horse subdivision and also rezoning and annexation for Shetland Point subdivision. For more information about anything talked about, go to the Eagle City website. Kuna, here again, just city events. Tuesday, there is a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting at 6 p.m. at City Hall. Then next Tuesday, February 21st, there is a City Council meeting at 6 p.m. at City Hall. For more information about those two events, go to the Kuna City website. Emmett, in city events, Tuesday, there is a City Council meeting from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. The location is not stated, but I assume it's at City Hall or downtown somewhere. Then Wednesday, there is a ribbon cutting ceremony for Fuller Healthcare from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. at 709 South Washington Avenue. And then in fun events, Thursday, there is the Gem County Christian Homeschoolers Game Day from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. at 10th Street Ball and RV Park Picnic Area. For more information about anything talked about, go to the Emmett City website or check the link in the description below. Twin Falls, in city events, Monday, there is a City Council meeting from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Then Tuesday, there is a Park and Recreation Commission meeting from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Also Tuesday, there is a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And then next Tuesday, February 21st, there is a City Council meeting from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. The locations for the events were not stated or shared on the city's website, so you might need to bug them about that. In performances Friday and Saturday, there is Grease being performed at the Wilson Theater. It is about a group of high school kids in the 1950s going on an adventure. Check below for ticket prices and times. Don't want to ruin anything else. And in fun events, starting Tuesday, there is a class on the basics of cake decorating from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at 315 Falls Avenue. Pocatello, in city events, Monday, there is a special City Council meeting from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. at City Hall. Also Monday, there is a Mayor's Youth Advisory Council meeting from 3:15 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the Council Chambers. Also, and lastly for Monday, there is a Human Relations Advisory Committee meeting from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the Council Chambers. Then moving to Tuesday, there's the Pocatello Regional Airport Commission meeting from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. at 1950 Airport Way, Pocatello. Also Tuesday, there is a Site Planning Review meeting from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. at City Hall. And lastly, in Tuesday events, there is a Chamber of Commerce meeting from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. at 324 South Main Street. Then moving to Wednesday, there is a Development Authority meeting from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Council Chambers. Then Thursday, there is a City Council Liaison/Work Session Clarification meeting from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Council Chambers. Then next Tuesday, February 21st, there is a CDBG Advisory Committee meeting from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. at the Council Chambers. Also, next Tuesday, February 21st, there is a Site Planning Review meeting from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. at City Hall. Also, Tuesday, February 21st, there is a Library Board meeting from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Marshall Public Library. And lastly, in city events, and for Tuesday, next Tuesday, February 21st, there is a Chamber of Commerce meeting from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. at 324 South Main Street, Pocatello. And performances, Tuesday, there's the Ann Moore Valentine's Day dinner from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the DEC. It is a 4-course Italian-based cuisine dinner costing $220. Then Thursday, there is an open mic night from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. at the Station Square. Friday, there is an Edwardian musical mystery called A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder from 6 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. at the West Side Players at the Warehouse. Then Friday, there is an opera performance of Cinderella from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the Stevens Performing Arts Center. Tickets are between $5 and $15. Then lastly, in performances Saturday, there is the Dry Bar Comedy Tour at 7 p.m. at the Blackfoot Performing Arts Center. Jenna Jones, Paul Sheffield, and Seth Tippett will be performing. If you're curious about that, the Dry Bar Comedy Group has a wonderful YouTube channel you can check out. I have found many really great comedians I've enjoyed on there, so even if you're not interested in going to the event, I'd highly recommend taking a look at that. If you are interested in going to the event, who knows, you might be able to even find recorded performances from the people that will be performing there. In fun events, Monday, there is a United Seniors Sock Hop Dance from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Purpose Center. Tickets are $35 a person. Then Tuesday, there is bingo from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Pond Student Union Building. It is free for students, $3 for faculty, and $5 for the public. Also Tuesday, there is an annual Kids Valentine's Day cookie decorating event from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. at 2025 Flandreau, Flandro Drive, Pocatello. And then lastly, in Fun Events Tuesday, there is a Sweetheart skating event from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Delta Skating. The event is 18 plus, and for couples, it is $25. In other events, Wednesday, there is a team roping event from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Bannock County Event Center. Thursday, there is a free shoulder and rotator cuff workshop from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. They don't say where it is, so you might want to reach out to them at 208-240-6017. And then lastly, Saturday, there is an open house for the Pocatello Model Train Club from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Union Pacific Building. For more information about anything talked about, go to the Pocatello City website or check the link in the description below. Idaho Falls. In city events, there's nothing major, but in performances Tuesday, the Amore Valentine's Day dinner is from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the DEC. It is a 4-course Italian-based cuisine dinner costing $220. Also Tuesday, there is a jazz band concert / swing dance performance from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. at BPAC. Then Friday, there is a comedy night from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the DEC. Seth Tippett will be performing, and tickets are $25 a person. Then Thursday, there is a musical performance of Legally Blonde at 7:30 p.m. at the Civic Center. Then Saturday, there is a dry bar comedy tour at 7 p.m. at the Blackfoot Performing Arts Center. Jenna Jones, Paul Sheffield, and Seth Tippett will be performing. If you're curious about it, the Dry Bar Comedy Group has a wonderful YouTube channel you can check out. I've quite enjoyed their stuff at times. Some of the other comedians that they've had on their tours and things I've really enjoyed. But if you want to kind of see or get an idea of these people, I have no doubt they probably have some YouTube videos or clips from performances they've done with the Dry Bar Comedy Tour or will eventually. So you can check that out. Or even if you're not interested in the event, I would highly recommend checking out. And lastly, in other events, Wednesday, there is the 2023 Organic Gardener class from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. This week, they're going to be going over seed starting basics. For more information about anything talked about, go to the Idaho Falls City website or check the link in the description below. Rexburg, nothing for city events, but in fun stuff, Tuesday, there's an art exploration event at 3 p.m. for kids at City Hall. The Rexburg Arts is putting it on, but you will need to register. Then also Tuesday, there is the Creative Corner for Teens at 4:30 p.m. at City Hall. And then Thursday, there's an intro to watercolor class for adults at 7 p.m. at City Hall. You will need to register for that also. And in other events, there is a beekeeping beginners class from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. at 134 East Main Street, Rexburg. The class is between $68 and $98. Then Thursday, there's an open studio for adults at City Hall at 10 a.m. You will need to register for that as well. For more information about the things talked about, go check the link in the description below. McCall, in city events Monday, there is a Historic Preservation Commission meeting at 4:30 p.m. at Legion Hall. Also Monday, there is a Library Board of Trustees meeting at 10 a.m. at Legion Hall. Then Wednesday, there is a Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee meeting at 6 p.m. at Legion Hall. And then next Tuesday, February 21st, there is a McCall Redevelopment Agency meeting at 8 a.m. at Legion Hall. In fun stuff, Friday, the McCall's Park and Recreation is having a Tiki Torch Trek from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the McCall Golf Course. And then there is cross-country skiing and snowshoeing at the Meadow Creek Golf Resort from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. For an adult pass, it is $10, and for youth, it is $5, and it'll be ongoing until April 30th. For more information about anything talked about, go to the McCall City website or check the link in the description below. Cascade, way more events than usual. In performances Saturday, there is a Winter Jamboree performance from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at American Legion. There'll be a chili cook-off dinner, and tickets are $15 a person. Then Friday, there's an avalanche awareness presentation from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the Valley County Sheriff's Office. Then Saturday and Sunday, the Cascade Ice Fishing Tournament is going on. It is being put on by Tackle Toms, and signups are open at cascadeupidaho@gmail.com or at 208-741-2200. Then lastly, Saturday, there is an Avalanche Companion Rescue Clinic from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Anderson Creek Snowmobile Parking Lot. In fun events, Tuesday, there is a Valentine's dinner with Palooza at the Palooza Base Camp and Eatery. They don't provide time, so you might want to check that out. Then Friday, there is a dinner from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at American Legion. Also Friday, there is a swing dance class from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It is free for all ages to attend. It will be happening at the Valley Club building, and it will be on country and line dancing. If you have any questions, call Steve at 208-861-8486. Then Friday, there is bingo at the Senior Center. It is from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then lastly, Thursday to Sunday, there is a ice skating open at the Cascade Aquatic and Recreation Center. For more information on anything talked about, go to the Cascade City website or check the link in the description below. Lewiston, in city events, Monday, there is a city council meeting from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at 411 D Street, Lewiston. Then Tuesday, there is an urban renewal agency meeting from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. at 1134 F Street, Lewiston. Then Wednesday, there is a library board meeting from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. at 411 D Street, Lewiston. Then next Tuesday, February 21st, there is an emergency medical service advisory board meeting from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. at the Lewiston Fire Department number 1. And then also next Tuesday, February 21st, there is an airport authority board meeting from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Lewiston Airport Administration Building. In fun events, Thursday, there's a board game night from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the Lewiston Public Library. Then Saturday, there's a stay and play story time from 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. at the library. In other events, Thursday, there is quilting with Coral from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. at the Lewiston Library. Also Thursday, there's an after-school art new learning lab from 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at the Lewiston Library. And then again, Thursday, the middle school girls STEM club meeting is being held from 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at the library. And the last of the Thursday events, there is a houseplant swap from 5:30 p.m. to 6:45 p.m. at the library. And lastly, Saturday, there is a crocheting class from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Lewiston Library. For more information on anything talked about, go to the Lewiston City website or check the link in the description below. Moscow. In performances Tuesday, there is a T-Birds book club from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Moscow Public Library. Then Thursday, there is a playing of Napoleon Dynamite and a festival dance performance at 7 p.m. Tickets are $7 a person and $3 for kids. I think it's at the Kenworth Theater, if I remember correctly. My script, I seem to have missed that. In fun events, Monday through Tuesday, there is a Valentine's Bouquet Bar pop-up from 12 p.m. Monday to 9 p.m. Tuesday. Then moving to Tuesday, there is a Paint Your Partner event from 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the Moscow Wild at Art. It is $50 a person. And then Saturday, there's a kids music camp from 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the First United Methodist Church. Tickets are $35 a piece. For more information on anything talked about, go to the Moscow City website or check the link in the description below. Coeur d'Alene, just city events. Monday, there is a general service / public work committee meeting at 12 p.m. at the library. Also Monday, there is a CDA-TV committee meeting at 8 a.m. at City Hall. Then moving to Tuesday, there is a planning and zoning meeting at 12 p.m. at the library. Also Tuesday, there is a Parks Commission meeting at 3 p.m. at City Hall. Then moving to Friday, there is an Urban Forestry Committee meeting at 8 a.m. at City Hall. And then lastly, next Tuesday, February 21st, there is a City Council meeting at 6 p.m. at the library. For more information about anything talked about, go to the Coeur d'Alene City website. Post Falls, just city events here. Tuesday, there is a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at City Hall. Then Thursday, there is an Urban Renewal Agency meeting from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. at City Hall. And then next Tuesday, February 21st, there is a City Council work session and meeting at City Hall. The work session is at 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. and the meeting part is from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. For more information about the topics talked about above, go to the Post Falls City website. Closing it out with Sandpoint here. In performances, Wednesday, there is live piano from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at 310 Cedar Street. Bob Detteling will be playing. Then Friday, there is live jazz from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at Barrel 33. In fun events, Friday, the Winter Carnival kicks off with the Parade of Lights at 5:30 p.m. in downtown Sandpoint. Then Saturday, there is a Valentine's Ball from 6:45 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Ponderay Event Center. It costs $9 at the door. For more information about the things talked about above, go to the Sandpoint City website or check the link in the description below. Starting off the news here, we have our first story. Wrecked propane semi causes highway closure. This comes by KTVB7 by staff. Last Thursday, a semi truck carrying between 8,000 and 11,000 gallons of propane wrecked on Highway 95. According to the Adams County Sheriff's Office, there is a mandatory 1-mile evacuation area around it because the tanker was leaking propane. Also, Highway 95 was closed at 10:35 a.m. Thursday between milepost 180 and 161. According to the Idaho police, the time frame for the reopening of the highway is unknown. With that said, ISP has said that a hazmat personnel and commercial vehicle safety people are on their way to deal with the issue. Sad story to hear. I mean, I didn't go look at the maps to see if it's like really close to a lot of people, but I'm assuming if they ordered a evacuation type of thing, then there was some houses nearby. I mean, I didn't go up and look at it because I probably don't want the answer, but I have no idea what the effects of just propane of that amount is on the human body. If there's like a danger that it just kind of stays low to the ground when there's that much, because when you're cooking outside and stuff and it gets released or something, it's not horrible. I mean, you got a risk of flammability for sure, but it's not horrible. But I have no doubt that having a bunch of propane, especially that much, about 8,000 or 11,000 gallons, leaking is not preferable to have. It happened near New Meadows. I think there was a comment, I didn't put it here in my notes, but that the New Meadows city says they're not going to be evacuating the city, but it was just the area around there. So I assume it's not super, super dangerous. As of writing this, I didn't see any updates about what was going on there. So I guess you might need to reach out to the Adams County Sheriff's Office if you're curious about what's going on, or if you live in that area, then maybe shoot me a tweet and I can talk about it real quick. But yeah, not good to hear when wrecks and stuff happen. All the icy and wintry conditions do not help all that. But anyway, we'll move on to the next one here. Boise Armory news. This comes by the Boise Dev by Margaret Carmel. On Tuesday of last week, the Boise City Council approved a Utah-based development group to redevelop the Armory. For the time being, they are only approved to add a mix of downtown homes, apartments, and a 3,000 square foot commercial space next to the Armory, where the parking lot currently exists. Now, the group does have approval to do things to the Armory. They just can't change anything about the exterior of the building. The group has not stated anything specific of their intentions yet of what they may or may not do with the Armory. With that said, leading up to this, the topic of the Armory has been a little bit of a hot topic on the east end of the Treasure Valley. Some have voiced concerns about the new building's height and possible traffic concerns related to the new apartments. On the other hand, others are worried about the addition of the apartments or other things changing the historic characteristics and nature of the site. They would like to see the Armory be made a landmark that would give it more legal protections and allow the city to stop major changes to it. As it stands right now, the site is registered as a historic building, but it doesn't prevent the building from being demolished or altered in some way. With that said, there are those on the city council that are very open to the idea of making it a landmark. Mrs. Clegg noted that she thought it wasn't appropriate to make the Armory a landmark yet, but she was very open to having it done in the future, which is interesting to see. I mean, I honestly, in the Treasure Valley, for those outside to like give some context, kind of in the east end of Boise, back I think in the 1940s or 50s or 30s or something like that, the U.S. military built like this big giant like marble or concrete looking armory building that like housed a lot of the stuff for the original like military or National Guard place that was here in Idaho. And it got decommissioned several years. I want to say like the 60s or 70s, and just hasn't been used, just been sitting there. And it has like, as I said there, the historic buildings kind of protection there, but it doesn't have a landmark thing. I haven't actually gone and seen it. I've gone to the penitentiary, but from the photos I've seen, it looks like a really cool kind of place. But I've heard, and this article also affirms that there's been a little bit of heat because the city wants to do something with it, not just having that property sitting there and the building getting more and more decrepit and other things, which is understandable. But on the other hand, what they're going to do with it, I don't know. I mean, I feel like you could use it for like some city meeting place, you know? Maybe convert it so the inside of it can be just open, and then like a farmer's market thing that you rent out the building for. I don't know. Because you want some functionality out of it, but then again, it's designed to be an armory, which is pretty rock solid. So I can't think of what else you would use it for. But it looks like they've approved, for a developing group to do some stuff there. But it'll be interesting to see what they do inside of it and what they'll approve for that and everything. But it is cool to see that there is a person on the city council that's open to the idea of making it a landmark. Granted, I don't know what the definition for that would be. That'd be a little bit of a stretch to be like, it's a landmark. And then you're like, but how special is it to the community? How much do people value it? Is it actually something that is a landmark that, I don't know if it's recognition that makes it that way, or if it's just a certain city council body that makes something a landmark or whatever. I'm not sure. But anyhow, if you ever are in another part of the state and you come visit, then maybe take a look at it and see it, because who knows, it might not always be there at the rate things are going. It might change from its current state, and right now you can kind of still see it unchanged since its decommission. Next one is new Roundabouts in Post Fall. This comes by the Coeur d'Alene / Post Falls Press by Devin Weeks. Last Wednesday, the Post Falls Community Development announced that they would be adding a roundabout to 2 intersections. All of them will be along the Prairie Avenue. One will be at the intersection of Fennicus and the other one at the intersection of Zorro's Road. Both of the roundabouts will be dual lane, meaning 2 going in and 2 coming out. Quoting the director of the Post Falls Community Development, roundabouts move traffic very effectively and smoothly. They are a great alternative to 4-way stops or the need for a traffic signal. They're one of the safest types of intersections in terms of any kind of crashes. You don't typically see injury-type crashes are at roundabouts. You're moving at a much lower speed, end quote. The roundabouts are expected to be discussed more at the February 21st City Council meeting, and funding for them is coming from the help of the Federal Aid Project, which I know there's a little bit of a hot topic on this when it comes to roundabouts. Some people love roundabouts, some people hate roundabouts. I personally like them to a point. Like, I've seen some footage of stuff in like England and Europe where you have these roundabouts that are like 6 lanes across or something. And no, I don't think that is really great. I would rather have a light, or if you're getting to a point where you've got that many lanes, let's just make like connectors, like a freeway system. We don't need this intersection. Like, just don't let people merge there and have overpasses and things, and they can merge in some lower level or smaller connectors or things. Just no. But like at a smaller level, like if you're going to sit there and say, yes, I have a road that has 2 lanes going in and 2 lanes going out, and it's going to have really high traffic, and the type of traffic is going to vary a lot, because that's where I think that's like the key thing with roundabouts when you're talking about them, that if the area that you're putting them in has really varying traffic patterns, like one time of the day, the traffic's going to be needing to go west to east, another day it needs to go north to south, and then at a different time of day it completely flops, then a timer-based system for lights really can't do it. I mean, you can add sensors, but I feel like the sensors for a lot of the intersection stuff doesn't work as well. Rather than a roundabout, you can kind of just keep moving. There's no sensors to worry about. It doesn't matter about the pattern. It just matters about people getting in and out of it. One could also make a really good argument, like he kind of brought up there without saying it, that like head-on collisions or side collisions or stuff are going to be way, way less common with a roundabout, because when you go into it, you're always coming in from like the side. And so the type of collisions that you're going to even be able to achieve and the speeds you're going to be able to achieve is going to be way different. And also, there's not going to be people blazing through a roundabout. You just can't. I mean, I guess you could theoretically if the center bit was designed in such a way that there was an opening and someone wanted to go over it. But most people, even if you're not consciously thinking a lot and you're just really tired of stuff, which is usually the case with most drivers, you're not going to do that. You are usually going to be a lot more focused and realize there's a roundabout. I got to slow down, even if you're tired, rather than in a lot of other cases where someone's tired and they're not watching and they don't see the stop sign is red or green and they blaze the intersection and wham, they get got. So I could totally agree with that on the safety side and then the amount of movement. But there does become a point when like the size of the roundabout gets too large and you just should have done a lighted intersection at that point. But it's cool to see that they're putting them. What are you guys' thoughts? Are you really for it or against it? I don't know how many roundabouts are up there in like the Post Falls area or at all, because I haven't driven around a lot. I think I went past there once or like on the freeway a little bit and was kind of watching everything, but I don't think I've ever like really been there. So I don't know how many roundabouts you have. Maybe this guys is your firsts. I guess if that's the case, when they do get them built, if you could send in a message and let me know what you guys think. If you're like, this is the worst thing ever. Why did we ever agree to this? Or, oh yeah, this is really nice. We should really do this with more of them. You know, what are your thoughts? I mean, I will also say I do see a point with like snow, now that I think about it, that a roundabout in snowy conditions could be worse because you're having to do these like weird turns and stuff, and that could cause for more slitting action rather than an intersection. Worst case, I mean, you might have people sliding into the intersection, which you won't have with a roundabout, but at least you're not turning a lot of the times in an intersection. You can just go straight. You don't have to worry about too much of the whole slitting or sliding or turning equation, but I don't know. Anywho, I wish them the best, and we'll see how it goes for them up there. Marie calendars might be back. This comes by the Boise Dev by Donde. Back in 2018, the Boise Marie calendars location closed, and later in 2019, the company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and kept closing stores down until only about 24 were left. Well, this last Tuesday, according to the Boise Dev, the chain applied for a new restaurant at 2145 East Fairview Avenue. The proposed plans submitted are for a 2,300 square foot building. This would make it nearly a quarter the size of the original one in Boise, which is cool to hear. I mean, in my time, I remember my parents would go to Marie calendars and different stuff, but I actually never went. I mean, I have to say, personally, their warm-up meals, on the other hand, are my favorite. They actually like taste like food. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, but I'm hoping other people can relate with me here that out of all the warm-up meals I've ever had, if there were one to like recommend a brand that I kind of just always really enjoy, it's Marie calendars, because, you know, maybe it's not the flavor I like, but it just tastes like real food. It isn't some fake like rubbery substance or something that feels like it's got a lot of preservative. It actually tastes like something I might have warmed up at home from leftovers or something. So I like their warm-up meals a lot, but I've never actually been to one of the restaurants. I do know they're known really well for like their baked goods or their pies and stuff. I know some people swear by their lemon meringue, but for me personally, my grandparents and our family's like homemade recipe is way better than anything I've ever had from some Marie calendars. So there again, I haven't had a lot of their cakes or frozen things or pies or stuff because a lot of my family just makes it all homemade. So the amount of Marie calendars related things is really low, but I know for some it is a very loved brand, and I know some people would be very excited to see that they might be coming back. We'll see if they get approval for it, and then they can be back here in the Treasure Valley, because I know, as I said, some people really, really, really enjoy Marie calendars. Now, this one is a little bit of a fun one, and in my alley, I really enjoy this. Idaho Kombucha Company. This comes by the Boise Dev by Karen Lair of Idaho News 6. So as many of you may or may not know, kombucha is a fermented drink that has been growing in popularity in the U.S. It is made through the process of making sweet tea and then letting a SCOBY break down the tea into kombucha, which after it can be flavored or left raw. Well, there is a company here in Idaho called Idaho Kombucha Company, aptly named, that makes it here in Idaho. They have year-round flavors like honey crisp, apple, ginger peach, and cardamom. They also have some seasonal ones, but their most popular, and for a very understandable Idahoan reason, is the huckleberry flavor. To pick your own up, you can go check it out at their site to see what stores they carry kombucha that might be near you. They have a huge, very wide range of different vendors. I remember curious to go look on there. I haven't gotten any. I was planning on. Maybe next week I'll talk about that and let you guys know what I thought, because I do plan on wanting to get some, because I really do enjoy kombucha. I mean, my favorite brand is the Trilogy brand, or I think it's Trilogy. I might have it wrong. But I really like theirs. They're just kind of my go-to, because a lot of kombuchas, I mean, no offense, it's not bad. Some kombuchas taste like sodas, and I don't kind of want that, because it's like trying to be an imitation for those that can't have soda. So they make kombucha taste like soda, and then people get those, which is fine. But I like kombucha that tastes like kombucha, and the Trilogy brand, if I'm saying that right, is like the closest to that, where it tastes like kombucha, but then it has its own flavor, and the flavors that they mix I've really enjoyed. But the idea of having a producer that's like here in Idaho sounds really cool, because, you know, I like Idaho, obvious reasons, because, you know, I have a podcast about it. But for other reasons that, you know, having something locally sourced, and then I know it's not traveling a huge amount of distance, and it's supporting local stuff. Also for the fact of, like, I can have huckleberry kombucha. That sounds awesome. I will admit, for some people, the process of making kombucha, some people really don't like that it kind of weirds them out, and that's fair. I can understand that. Kombucha you kind of have, yeah, as I said, you have like the sugar tea water that you use, and then you make that by making tea water. Usually you use black tea, but sometimes people will do a black and green tea mix. I'm not sure why. I experimented with making some of my own kombucha at one point, and I didn't quite figure out why that was the case. But you do that, and then after that you have what's called the SCOBY, which is basically the type of bacteria. Think of it like yeast when you're doing like sourdough bread or whatever. And you put the sugar water in with the SCOBY, and then the SCOBY slowly eats the sugar and the tea water and then converts that over into what we would consider kombucha. And then you can drink that raw, but a lot of people, including myself, kind of like it flavored. And so then you can put in another like flavor of liquid or juice or flavorants or whatever you want to do. And then usually you let it sit for a week. So it brews for a week, it sits for a week, and then you do it. I mean, that's the process I understood. I don't know what they might be doing there at Idaho Kombucha. But that's the way I know how to make it. It's really good. If you haven't had it, I'd recommend it. It does kind of grow on you. I really like sour, strong kombucha. Some people can't have it. I remember when I made my own, I had a friend and I shared it with him, and he just started coughing and spluttering because it was so sour, but I had just built up a tolerance for it. So you may get kombucha the first time, and you might, from the Trilogy brand, if you go with that, and you might be like, oh my goodness, I can't, no. That's where I'd be like, don't give up. Go get one of the more like soda-y, that's not a word, soda-ish type of kombuchas, and then kind of lean into it and get used to it, and then maybe you can have some of those other ones that are a little stronger. But highly recommend it, really enjoyable. I'm going to try them next week, and I'll give you guys a kind of report in the morning banter of what I thought about them. I plan on getting some, and I'll let you know what you guys think. Nampa taking public input for Lakeview Park. This comes by the Boise Dev by Marielle Rodriguez. The Nampa City Council is looking for input on what to do for new improvements for the Lakeview Park. For those familiar with the park, it has 2 covered picnic shelters, a rose garden, an amphitheater, a baseball diamond, and kind of a water area. The city has hired a company to put together a plan, but the budget has not been set for the project yet. Once it is set, the city can then decide on what improvements it wants to make over the next 20 years. Short but sweet. I mean, there was one other note in the article is that the timeline of to kind of decide on that budget and stuff is very long. So it might be quite a bit till we see a decision on what they're going to do for that. And for those in the valley, I didn't remember what this was, but if you remember when you're coming into Nampa, there's that really weird intersection when you're going into downtown. I think you know what I mean. I mean, a lot of the intersections in Nampa are weird. But there's that one main one when you get off the freeway just after kind of the dealership one and everything when you're coming down. And it's this really weird, like it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, I think lanes coming into it. And then there's a park like right in front of you when you come off the freeway. That is the Lakeview Park, that big one. It's got like some locomotives on display. I think it's got a jet. It's got tanks. It's got like, the Rose Garden, as I said. It's a pretty big, serious park. I've enjoyed it. It's really nice. It's kind of the biggest park west of the valley, other than like Ann Morrison or Catherine Alberts and stuff. But it'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, they've got a lot of land. I mean, they could add some tennis courts. I don't remember any off the top of my head, but I could be wrong. I'm trying to think of other things they may or may not add. I mean, I guess you could improve the water stuff, but there's not a lot. I mean, you could try to add an area for like ice skating maybe in the winter. That would be cool. Then Nampa would have something to compete with the Indian Creek Plaza that Nampa has. Or not Nampa, Caldwell, my bad. But yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, if you guys have any ideas, then definitely reach out to them and give some input, especially if you live in Nampa and you're concerned or want to give input on what you want there. But yeah, just still an interesting one. It'll be interesting to see as it progresses, how quickly, how slowly it goes, and what Nampa decides to do with it. Next one up is Cookie Co. Company opening up in Meridian. This comes by the Boise Dev by Gretchen Parsons. The California-based company called Cookie Co. is going to be opening up its second store in Idaho on March 18th at 6500 North Linder Road. Their first store is in Idaho Falls, so for those over in Idaho Falls, you probably already got to taste a couple of them. The Cookie Co. Company's claim to fame comes from their 4-pack customizable cookie packs, which can come in a party size or for catering. Their flavors also rotate weekly, so there's always something new. Granted, they always have chocolate chip cookies. The grand opening will be from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. There'll be free cookie samples available and a chance to win a year's worth of free cookies. I mean, as I was researching for this and as recording this as well, I kind of realized that the name was very familiar, but I just can't place it where I've heard the name Cookie Company or Cookie Co. before. Maybe I've had their stuff before. From what I've heard earlier on before the pandemic, they were small according to the article, but then they've kind of grown. So maybe I haven't, but I feel like it's something I've heard before. But then again, I haven't gone to a cookie store, kind of like coming back to that Marie Callendar story. I have just, my family does a lot of cooking at home. And so a lot of the time going to pastry stores, we just don't do because we just cook it ourselves and it usually tastes way better and it's way more fun as a family experience. I don't know if other families have that same experience out there as I do. But with the exception of, I think like Pastry Perfection, I will admit, Pastry Perfection is very, very nice. And if you're listening, Pastry Perfection, one, I would love for you to sponsor. And secondly, it would be amazing for you to build another location on the west side of the Treasure Valley because it's, I can barely ever get over there to get anything. And most of the time you're all, everything's bought up. Rather than if it was on this side of town, I'd actually have a chance of driving in early and getting it rather than having to wake up at Odark 100 to even get some really tasty stuff. But with that on the out of the way, Cookie Co. Company sounds like really cool. For those that might want to visit, as I said, from like 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., they're going to be open for that. So worst case, get some free cookies and maybe you win, a year's supply where I think it's not that they give you that many cookies at once, but that over the course of that year, you get free cookies whenever you drop in. So that'll be cool. For those, I guess, that have a sweet tooth, this is right up your alley. Surprise, surprise, surprise. We come to the end so quickly. This week was like really light on like main stories. I had to bump some stories that were going to be in Quickies like up into the main category because there's just wasn't a lot of like main stories. There's a bunch of politics, which we'll get into, and I'm adding that and I'm excited about that. But here's the fun one. Boise edition of Monopoly. This comes by the Boise Dev by Gretchen Parsons. The toy company Hasbro and Top Trumps have stated that they're going to be working together to make a Boise edition of Monopoly. Granted, this is still up in the air. The company is also considering Scottsdale, Kansas City, and Brooklyn, but they seem pretty serious about Boise. Quoting the representative from Top Trump, "We want to ensure that the Monopoly Boise edition is an accurate portrayal of what locals love about their city. So we could love for everyone to get on board and send us their recommendations of what they would like to see included. Everything is up for consideration. Bogus Basin, BSU Broncos, Camel's Back Park, the Greenbelt. Want to know your Boise favorites that must go on the board, so please get involved." End quote. As alluded to, they're taking input about the game for what local features may be on the themed squares to what should be on the playing cards. They're open for input until October 21st of this year at capital B Boise at toptrumps.com. If Boise is chosen, you might see it on the shelves about October of this year. Which, this is kind of cool to say. I mean, I have never actually fully completed a game of Monopoly. We have a couple of versions of it for like different theme stuff because Monopoly kind of does that. But I have never finished a game of it. I never had like a bad experience. I know some people really, really do not like Monopoly and they have a big thing against it. I've always, as I said, I haven't finished it, so I don't have a horse in the race there. But in the time that I have played it, I've enjoyed it. It would be cool to have a Boise version. I would just buy it for the sake of being like, look, I've got it. If they ever stop making it and it's kind of a little bit of memorabilia stuff, but cool to hear that they're doing that. I mean, I know that it's not final. You've got Scottsdale's and Kansas City and Brooklyn that are still in the mix there. But it sounds like we're fairly close in the running, and they seem fairly serious with the quotes that they're getting and stuff. So we'll see what ends up happening. And I mean, if you're here in Idaho or especially in Boise and you have some stuff that really was cool and meant a lot and you want to have on that board, then yeah, definitely reach out to them and give them input. I will definitely probably send in a message from the podcast recommending some stuff to them. But anywho, that wraps up the main news stories, and we'll move into the quickies here. First quickie here, Coeur d'Alene clearing Near Kroc Center. This comes by the Coeur d'Alene/Post Falls Press by Bill Bewley. Thursday, the city of Coeur d'Alene started clearing several pine trees near the Prairie Trail located by Kroc Center. This is being done to provide better access to the trail. According to Todd Fusier, the street engineering director, they're going to be putting in a 150 to 200 feet long parking lot, which should have about 25 parking spaces, and it should be done about the end of this summer. Broken fences and donuts on a soccer field. This comes by the East Idaho News by Andrea Olson. Tuesday night or Wednesday morning in Pocatello, according to the Portnerf, hopefully I got that right, wellness complex. Someone drove through the fence surrounding their soccer field and did donut spins on it. They currently don't know who it was, so they're asking the community to help. If someone saw something or knows something, they're asking people to call the Bannock County Sheriff's Office or file an anonymous tip to the sheriff online. Fire in Swan Valley. This comes by East Idaho News by Andrea Olson. Last Saturday, the Swan Valley Fire District got a call about a house being on fire along Highway 26 at about 10:30 p.m. A shop had caught fire and was at the point of threatening another house, but the firefighters were able to keep the fire just to the shed. The cause of the fire was accidental. The owner of the shop was working in his shed on his snow machine when a spark caught fire. He tried to put it out but was not able to, so he left the shop and called 911. No one was hurt, but the shop was completely destroyed. Moscow High School lockdown. This comes by KTVB 7 by staff. Last Wednesday, the Moscow Police Department said they got a call around 9:50 a.m. from a male saying that he was armed and was going to carry out a shooting at the Moscow High School. The police informed schools in the Moscow School District to implement lockdown procedures and set up a perimeter around the school threatened. But it was later determined that the call came from out of Idaho and was a false alarm. The police are currently investigating the case and are open to tips. Guthrie Chicken looking to add a second location. This comes by the Boise Deb by Autumn Robertsons. Guthrie, a chicken restaurant chain, is planning on putting its first store location in Boise, but they already have put in another request to build another location in Meridian near the village. According to the article, the other location will also have a drive-thru. Granted, they don't say the size or anything else. Bed Bath & Beyond update. This comes by the East Idaho News by Jordan Valinsky. As talked about last week, Bed Bath & Beyond is struggling. Last week, they announced that they would be closing 49 stores, but they are now saying that they're going to be closing more than 150 stores. Power outage in Idaho Falls. This comes by the East Idaho News by Caitlin Hart. For those in Idaho Falls, you may have experienced a power outage about 11:47 a.m. on Tuesday. This was caused by a car that was hit by a power pole in front of the Skyline High School. For those not in Idaho Falls, the power was restored at about 12:30 p.m. according to the power company. Jerome Man dies in Twin Falls. This comes by KTVB 7 by staff. Last Sunday, around 1:20 p.m., a 73-year-old man from Jerome crashed his 1996 Ford van after he lost control and went over an embankment. He was wearing his seat belt, but sadly he died at the crash. He was driving westbound on Thousand Springs Grade Road. If I missed something or got something wrong, or you have some advice for the show, then send me an email at localyokelidaho2022@gmail.com or tweet me at localyokelidaho on Twitter. This show is a one-man show, so I can't afford to go over everything, but I hope I was able to cover as many things as possible. Thank you for your support. That's all for now, and I hope you have an excellent rest of your week. Godspeed.